Do you know what leadership means, Lord Snow? It means that the person in charge gets second-guessed by every clever little twat with a mouth. But if he starts second-guessing himself, that's the end. For him, for the clever little twats, for everyone. This is not the end. Not for us. Not if you lot do your duty for however long it takes to beat them back. And then you get to go on hating me, and I get to go on wishing your wildling whore had finished the job.
I am fully of the opinion that Ironwood is arguably the most sensible character in all of Volume 7, which is odd because I was very ambivalent towards him in Volume 3. So why do I think he might just be my favorite character in the entire show right now? Well, I think it comes down to conflict, or more specifically, oppression, in the way that all the other characters are, and I'm doing this with air quotes, oppressing him. And I don't mean like oppressing as in what they say is happening to Mantle. I mean that he's being pressured on all sides. I mean, let's face it, if he's not paying for their salaries or the motor oil they run on, everyone is doing things that just makes his job harder. The villains are overpowered as shit. I mean, did you see them framing Penny? That was that shouldn't have worked, but that was crazy anyway. Eh, the politics in Atlas don't make any sense, but as it is, his worst enemy is now sitting on the council and somehow was inaugurated almost at light speed and is now questioning him of his loyalties, which yeah, he kind of deserves. He hasn't been very forthcoming with the other councilmen. But you have to understand that you never know who might be working for Salem. Um, and the main characters are all complaining about everything he does, but none of them are proffering a real solution to the problem. Nora got so upset when he wanted to bring about martial law in Atlas, but like, what was her solution then? And in fact, she had so much of no solution that Ironwood had to come up with a new solution himself: capture Robin Hill, so that she'd stop pressuring them and they'd be able to finish the project. So what did Hypocrite and her girlfriend have to do immediately later? They let Robin Hill go because she's just a person trying to do what she thinks is right. Hey, but frankly, it just feels really odd because attacking the military of your country is counted as terrorism. So you think that after they killed the leader of the last terrorist group they got involved with, they wouldn't be trying to get in bed secretly with a new one just because she's doing what she thinks is right. Adam was doing what he thought was right, and they killed him. Everyone's doing what they think is right, but only one person is stealing from the guy you're working for. But let's save that for later. And the odd thing is, the show is really trying to make it seem like Ironwood is going too far and losing his humanity and oppressing people for no good reason. But all I can think is Ironwood is showing a shocking amount of restraint. I mean, what's the problem exactly? He has a lot of soldiers going around in Atlas, but the robots aren't doing anything. They're just ineffectively, I'll admit, fighting the Grim when they show up and quelling mass riots. They haven't done anything that would make me think you should actually complain about it. If anything, the biggest problem for him is the dust embargo. And let's face it, no one really respects the soldiers anyway. After a massive attack by monsters, he initiated a curfew to try and quell the anger and problems that were causing all the Grim to show up in the first place, and people were simply disregarding it because the people, it would be way too much for the characters in this show to act like they live in a world where giant monsters can just drop out of the sky and pick you up to eat later. But I digress. Everyone is yelling at him. The main characters don't seem to trust him, despite the fact that everything he's done has been so trustworthy. It kind of seems unnatural. Well, which I don't think is what they're going for. And the annoying thing is this wouldn't be so hard to fix. for a show that really made it quite easy for me to like dislike like half of their main characters, it should not be so hard to portray Ironwood as the overreacting extremist dictator that they seem to want the audience to think he is. I mean, there are so many easy ways to do that. You could show the robots being oppressive towards people. You could, like, just go back to that annoying guy from the second episode, Forrest, I believe his name was, and just take out the line where they say the reason they arrested him was because he was committing vandalism on military property. Is so that we can actually think. So Ironwood had this guy arrested for protesting him, things like that, or have him arranged to have the Winter Maiden killed while she's looking at a picture of Winter. Uh, Maybe not now, but like as things escalate, they could do that to make it seem like he really is going hard. And he shouldn't have returned the relic to Team Ruby. That would have been a great impetus for Ruby to lie and tell him that all the questions have already been used up. That way I wouldn't have to complain that she's doing in one of the few things I'm willing to say Ospin probably shouldn't have done. Or you could have him like capture Robin and her happy huntresses, maybe by, I don't know, saying the goat girl, who I've only selected because she's the most interestingly designed of all of Robin's huntresses, including Robin, is actually a double agent for him. Robin doesn't seem like she'd have a good relationship with Fornos. I mean, none of them showed up for her gloating way too early party celebrating her victory, and none of them, and it'd be a good sheep in wolf's clothing metaphor as part of the Ace Ops. Is that an Aesop story? Either way, that the goat girl is actually an infiltrator and she uses it to capture the happy huntresses and like hold them without trial so they'll stop causing trouble. Actually have Ironwood do some morally grey stuff. So on if they just made Ironwood seem less sensible, and I can't even feel like he's overreacting because they seem to really want to side with the belligerent, angry sore loser who is now robbing in his supply convoys. And by the way, what the hell is Robin doing stealing from military supply convoys and redistributing it to the public? What is it? Some seriously complex machinery most people probably don't understand, and a few boxes of dust? Atlas hasn't been portrayed to be so bad that it makes sense that she's stealing from military convoys to give out to people. I mean, what's she gonna do if she opens it and just sees a bunch of engines? Is she going to drop it? Is she going to keep it out of spite, or is she going to like drop it at the nearest military checkpoint? So yeah, that's basically why I like Ironwood. He feels like he's the only character who is making any sensible decisions, and every other character who criticizes him doesn't seem to be able to either make smart decisions or give a real alternative to what his plans are. Anyway, tell me what you think. What do you think of Ironwood? Do you think he's right? And please note, I'm not saying he's completely right in everything. I'm just saying he's more right than everyone else. Do you think he's right? Do you think Team Ruby is being unreasonable? Do you think it's trustworthy? Do you think the next half of the volume is going to completely ruin his character by having him suddenly go way too crazy, way too fast? Comment below. Tell me what you think.